I hear that.
All right, we are live. Guys, thank you so much for coming back to the channel. Today, I have the distinct honor of having Stuart Zagnit, aka the Professor Oak from Pokemon. Stuart, first of all, thank you so much for coming on my channel and taking time out just to talk for a little bit here. I really, really appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
So, how
And
are you doing
very
today,
welcome
Stuart?
too.
I love. How are you doing today, Stuart? Are you having a good day?
Yeah, it's brutally hot here. I'm in Brooklyn, New York, and it's really challenging, but it's bound to break sooner or later. So, uh,
Absolutely. I
yeah,
know exactly what you mean. I live in Indiana, and it's about 93, but the humidity is so much worse. And
right.
I don't mind a dry heat, but when it's this humid like this, it's hard to bear. You just don't want to be outside.
No, and I can't do a thing with my hair, so I just plaster it down.
That's
It's
all
really
you.
awful.
That's all you can do.
Right.
Uh, but yeah, so obviously we've talked a little bit. I am a huge fan of Pokemon. Professor Oak was by far one of my absolute favorite reasons for that. You definitely brought the character to life, and voice acting I think is a very difficult thing to do, as far as you have this persona that you're creating, but you have to create the emotion just through your voice. Obviously, the animators have to worry about creating that type of expression and all the facial details and everything. But for you, you have to bring that character to life, and you did such an amazing job doing that with Professor Oak. So, when did you start voice acting, and what really drew you to it? I guess.
Um, well, for one thing, I was looking for income. I was looking for
Okay.
ways to make a living in the
Sure.
business, and I came to New York after graduating college, and immediately pursued theater. So
Uh-huh.
I did a lot of touring. I wasn't immediately in the union, so I was doing non-union theater, which meant I did a lot of children's stuff, touring around the country.
Mhm.
And little by little, I started to get my cards. I got my equity card. I got my SAG and AFTRA card, and then other opportunities opened up, and I started to do regular commercials, commercial voiceovers. I did on-camera commercials as well.
Mhm.
In the, I guess it was the '90s, there was a series of commercials by Trident Gum, and it was 4 out of 5 dentists recommend Trident. What happened to the fifth dentist? So, so there were all these scenarios about why the fifth dentist didn't vote for Trident, and
Right.
the one that I did, which became a really popular one, was the 5 dentists were in a row and they were voting, and as they were voting, a fly started buzzing around in the studio, and it landed on the forehead of dentist number 5. I was dentist number 4, and
Mhm.
without thinking, I picked up my I had a clipboard, and I whacked him in the head to kill the fly, and of course the number 5 fell over on the no buzzer. Uh,
Oh, no.
and I felt very embarrassed, but it was I was not I didn't expect that to happen. So,
Oh
and
my
it was like
gosh.
no dialogue; it was just a voice. We were just the visual,
Oh, okay.
and that thing was so popular, and it ran for I guess close to 2 years. So
Wow.
got really spoiled by that because it was a nice little thing to look forward to when the
Sure.
um, I've done I've done a series of voiceovers and things, and the way I had never done anime in my life, didn't
Mhm.
do, and I didn't even consider that as a possibility. And the truth is, in the late '90s, anime really wasn't a thing. It was
Right.
just I heard about it, but it was very on the other side of the world. So
Mhm.
so literally, a friend of mine who used to be an actor but had gotten out of the business, he had a friend and he said, my buddy is casting this new series and they're looking for voices, character voices, whatever. Give
Mhm.
him a call, tell him you're a friend of mine, So basically, I did that, and I went in, and they had me do a number of voices. I think I must have done 5 or 6 different voices, and one of them was this eccentric professor character. So a couple weeks went by. I didn't think anything of it, and a couple weeks went by, and I get a phone call, and they said, "We'd like you to do the Professor Oak character." And I said, "Okay, fine." So they booked my first session, and I'd go in, and just to remind me, they would play back my audition tape because I didn't really remember what I did.
Yeah, of course.
And so I heard something, and I tried to match that quality that I did. And that went on for the first, excuse me, few sessions
Hmm.
until it really got second nature, and
Right.
and the rest, I guess you could say, is history, because I would go in and do the sessions and not think much about it. And about a year into it, I'm walking by a newsstand, and for those of your viewers who don't know what a newsstand is, it would have weekly, monthly publications like newspapers and magazines, and there was a magazine called Newsweek, and the cover of Newsweek was Ash and Pikachu, and the
Wow.
headline was "The Pokemon Phenomenon." And I stopped like dead in my tracks, and I went, "I'm in a phenomenon." And that was the first time it even occurred to me to even think of it that way,
Right.
because I just go in and do my little session and go home.
Sure.
So it kind of slowly got to me that we were in something very unique and very special. And the fact that it's been around now as long as it has, and it seems to be going as strong as ever, is an indication that we must have been doing something right. So
Absolutely. You created the foundation of this. I mean, without you all, there would be no Pokemon. So,
well, thank you. I mean, I have to say, the original casting for the show was quite inspired, and and I've stayed friends with a lot of the original voice actors, and I think it's a really unique and talented bunch of people. And we've had a few reunions, which are really kind of joyous, I have to say, whenever we get together.
Oh yeah.
Because you have to remember, when we did the series, we weren't working in the same room together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'd go in and they'd say, "All right, well, Veronica's been in. She's laid down her tracks, and then we'll have some scratch tracks for the other ones, and you just put yours in." And then it went like that. And sometimes I'd see whoever was in the session ahead of me, and we'd say hi, and then it'd be somebody in the waiting room going in after me. So whenever we had a chance to get together, it was really fun, And I think, and we really discovered that we all enjoyed each other's company. So, and I appreciate what you said at the top of this show today. But I think what makes it even trickier is that we created the characters, and we had to fit our English words into the spaces allotted for the original Japanese dialogue.
Right.
So
I didn't mention that.
So to do that and also make it natural and emotional and funny, I think was a real challenge that everybody stepped up to that.
Absolutely.
And I'd say the writing was good, the direction was good, and we all were pretty much actors who were used to taking initiative. So if I saw a moment that seemed like, I would instinctively know where to go with it.
Right.
So my acting training really paid off for that, and I think the results, kind of speak for themselves. And
yeah, absolutely. So did they keep you in some kind of bubble? Then you said, like, when you saw the newsstand with the Pokemon phenomenon, was it kind of like, I mean, were you kind of in your own little bubble when you would go to do the voice act and everything? And like, were you aware that Pokemon was growing? Did they kind of like keep you in the loop as far as the producers and everything?
Yeah, I mean, they were low key about it. I mean, every season we'd get a little bump of appreciation, which was nice.
Right.
But I think everyone kind of was was more focusing on the work of the new season and the episodes to get through. So I think the work ethic always stayed pretty high and pretty disciplined. So we had fun. We always had fun during the session, but we always got it done, you know. So,
Right.
you know, sometimes I was booked for maybe a half an hour, you know,
Wow.
or at the most it was really rare if I had a 2-hour session. So we
That's
accomplished a lot
crazy.
in a little bit of time. And of course, the downfall of that is when you get better at it, you can knock those things off quickly.
Yeah.
So you know, you make more money if you spend more time in the studio.
Right.
But sometimes you didn't have to. So so I guess it's a compliment and a curse at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure you definitely got that voice down as like a second. You were essentially a second person, more or less. That's why I'm always fascinated with voice acting, because you do take on this whole new persona, like I mentioned, and I mean, balancing that with yourself and then coming in and out of it between like taking, you know, when you were recording, that to me is just the most impressive thing. And I don't think people understand how difficult voice acting is. I think they think that, you know, you just hop in a booth and say some lines, but it's so much more than that. And you even brought up, this is a dub. This is not like the original version. So you're having to take that on as well. So it's just all the more impressive to me. I think another thing that really stood out to me, and one of the reasons that I really wanted to reach out to you, not just because I'm, you know, a huge fan, but I watched one of the live stream talks where you guys all were together. The original cast was together with Veronica,
Right.
and everybody, and it was amazing to me because I didn't know for sure, but I figured that you guys didn't work together. I didn't think you were in like a round table room and kind of reading off lines and stuff. I assumed you recorded individually, but the chemistry that you all had and the camaraderie, and it was like the most enjoyable live stream I've ever watched. And it was like, it wasn't just because I love Pokemon and Pokemon was my childhood. I mean, it was like, it just felt like you guys were like a family to me. And I love that.
We've turned into that. Yeah. And I think we've, a good example was, in addition to the live streams which we've been doing, which is really delightful. Before pandemic, Eric and Veronica and I and a few other people were invited to a Comic-Con down in Birmingham, Alabama, and we did a round table. And I realized that was the first time we'd all been sitting at a table with microphones right down the line in the same time.
That's
and that
amazing.
was a blast because I'd go in and out of Oak, and it just, there was a lot of bantering. So the sense of it was kind of like a celebration, like a big party.
Right.
And the audience absolutely loved it, and we had
I bet. I have to look that up. That sounds amazing. Do you think what is easier for you? Did that make you think back that maybe we should have done like a round table type thing with that type of interaction? Or do you think it is better to be isolated and focused on your lines and maybe not get caught up with everybody in the room?
I think it can work both ways. I mean, I did a guest voice on Ninja Turtles, and I was Dr. Doom. And
that's cool.
In one season, and when we did those sessions, we were all in the same room with our own separate mics, and, and that would, to me, was like, wow, I haven't done this before.
Yeah,
and that was fun. I think I got used to the isolation because I had a director, I had a technician, and I had some of the voices coming into my headset. So, I mean, the scenes played well, and I think we all kind of rose to the challenge. I would love to do. I mean, it'd be great if Nintendo gave us their blessing, if we could do a live stream episode.
Oh my goodness!
I mean, wouldn't that would like be mind blowing if we
could
all be there and do the live stream and people could watch.
That'd be so popular.
The anime. And of course, it would be lovely if they would, bring us original people back
Yes.
to do, because it's very clear that our Pokemon fans. I mean, often I hear somebody will say to me, "You were my whole childhood,"
Yeah. Yeah.
and people have such amazing affection for what this represents in their own personal growing up, and I think it's great, and it would be nice if we still had a connection that way with our fans. So
Right.
these events are a nice way to have that. So
Yeah. Yeah. Technology is amazing and has came a long way.
sure,
But absolutely, I am in the same boat as that. I've watched the newer Pokemon series, but to me, and I mean, nostalgia is one of the most powerful human emotions that you can
right,
have. So to me, for a lot of people, Pokemon want that feeling that we had growing up watching it, and it's just not something you can replace with new actors and everything. And like I said, you guys nailed it. Like, you hit it on the head. Each individual character. I've been watching the series since I've been talking to you. I've been going back to the original season, and it amazes me just how well each character. I mean, I love Misty. Obviously, Veronica was great with Ash and Brock and everything. It's just like they all. I don't know. Their personalities were so distinct, and so I think everybody could relate to somebody inside the Pokemon
sure,
universe, and it
right.
was just a fun show to watch and something that I will cherish for the rest of my life. And I just appreciate so much what you all did, and I think the fans want you to know that. So if you did something like that, I don't know, that'd be huge to do, like the roundtable talk. I would have to watch.
I'll have to talk. I'll have to talk to some of the other voice actors. Maybe we can, somehow get the ball rolling on that.
Well, if you wanted to do it on my channel, like, I wouldn't be against it,
Yeah,
I mean, that'd be incredible. I wish Nintendo would absolutely back that, because that deserves a grand stage,
sure.
for that. But that kind of leads into one of my questions. So you do still keep in touch with the other voice actors? I know you said you didn't necessarily record with them, but you kind of built up this friendship kind of as Pokemon grew. So you keep in touch pretty regularly?
Absolutely, yeah. We're all on the various social media, so
Mhm.
I can be in touch with Eric Stewart, and I can be in touch with Veronica and Tara Sands. Erica Schroeder is another voice actor, and it is like a big family. And
Mhm.
you know, Michael Hegney, he's actually in Brooklyn, so we're not far from
Oh,
each other.
wow. Yeah.
So we have we have to make a date to go out and have a little drink and
Absolutely.
this a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's great, and I think actually, because I've done a lot of theater, uh, and even though I've been in long running shows, you don't always make friends with everybody. I mean, everyone's
Sure.
always moving on to the next thing. This has had some staying power, and to think that I've known these people now over 20 years is kind of amazing. So it's something to be appreciated, and who knows? It's I love the fact that Pokemon is just out there and it's ongoing. So
Yeah. And you are Professor Oak, so you are such a big part of that. I mean, that's the one thing I think with characters too. I don't know that there was so much controversy whenever Veronica, they didn't bring her back and everything, but I feel like so you kind of see these different characters that are like always in the episodes, and since
Mhm.
Professor Oak was kind of in the background, it was just kind of like everybody kind of got used to Ash and Misty and Brock. You see him every episode. Then it's like, oh, Professor Oak, there he is. Like, people I think would genuinely get excited to see the little, almost some episodes were like a cameo of Professor Oak, and it was just like that was kind of the highlight of the thing. But
Sure.
it's amazing the chemistry between you and Veronica, and you weren't even in the same room. That's another thing that I just cannot cannot get over. What would you say is your fondest memory of recording Pokemon? I know you brought up the newsstand, which has got to be an amazing memory, but as far as recording it, what would you say your fondest memory, or just one of?
I loved when we did the full length movies, which I think Oak did 3 of them, and I think the first one was that 2000 Pokemon 2000. The
Yeah.
movie. That what I loved about that when I walked in and saw the script, it was the first time that it had a sense of drama and there was an ominousness going on, and I said, wow. I get to show another side of my personality, and it's not just eccentric. And that was really a fun challenge to do, and I think that alone makes it one of my favorite ones. Also because it was a long form, I wasn't just doing it in a half-hour session, so there were some nice substantial scenes to play. And I went, oh yeah, I could definitely do more of this. That would be great.
So did they treat it the same way as far as like the recording of the TV show with the movie? Was it like a similar setup then, or how did that?
It felt similar. I think we were in a different studio when we did the movie. And so there's nothing better than seeing it, because we used to see it on a very small TV screen in the voice studio. So to see that in a bigger format, because it's going to be a big full screen movie, was already it just kind of blew your mind, and you go, wow, this it takes it out of the little screen and makes it large. And so I think there was a desire to want to rise to that occasion.
Oh, absolutely.
And we still had fun. We still had a good time doing it. So
it might have just been a little bit more nerve-wracking, maybe doing the movie. I might be a little bit more going on. Yeah, I could see. Was this your first movie as a voice actor? Was it your first movie in general at the time, or?
Yeah, I mean, I had done a little extra work on some movies. I remember there was a movie that no one would remember. It was with Ryan O'Neal and Jack Warden. It was called So Fine, and I'm actually, and I did it. And it was just extra work, and we were all dressed up like buyers in the fashion industry. And I did this scene where Ryan O'Neal comes into the lobby of his building, and not to go into too much detail, but he's wearing these jeans and they ripped. So part of his rear end is kind of exposed, and it's an accident, but we think it's a fashion statement, and we see it, so we rush into the elevator to put our orders in for this thing. So now we flash forward a few months, and I'm in the movie theaters watching one of the Chris Reeve Superman movies. Maybe it was the first one, and they show trailers for coming movies. So they show So Fine, and what do they show? They show Ryan O'Neal going into the elevator, and I'm in the lobby, and here I am in a big Manhattan movie theater, seeing me on a big screen, reacting and rushing in. I had so much FaceTime in that moment, in that little clip, and I was like, "Oh my god,
that's surreal."
So I did some of that. I never did a lot of movie stuff, but I wound up getting to do a lot of episodic TV. So over the years, you might have seen me on and all 3 of the Law and Orders. I did Elementary, Blue Bloods, Good Wife. The Blacklist. The Blacklist was more recent, actually. That was like two seasons ago. The season finale.
Yeah.
And upcoming, I'm going to be in the 3rd episode of the new season of The Marvelous Mrs. Mazel.
So cool.
So you can look for me at the end of clean shaven.
You might be hard to recognize. Yeah. That's awesome.
So I've done a lot of that, and and on and off doing voiceovers. I mean, anime Pokemon is still the biggest job that I've been involved with and the longest.
Sure. That's going to be hard to top because that's
it's tough.
one of the biggest of all time. So, so those are kind of like similar type TV shows. Is there any type of draw to that specific genre for you?
You know, that when I think about it, most of them are those kind of drama, late night drama shows. I would love to do. Well, I mean, Mrs. Mazel was the only one that's basically has a comic spin on it. So it's kind of both. And what I do is probably more comic than usual. But often they will hire me to be the kind of momentary comic relief character who's never the bad guy, but I give them information innocently that leads them on their search for the bad guy. So in these procedural, Law and Order type shows, I'm never the one they're looking for.
Right.
So I can be a little more offbeat and funny.
Yeah.
Because the real drama happens after they talk to me.
Right. You're too good of a guy, Stuart. They can't hire you for somebody to be the criminal. They can't do that.
But maybe someday Professor Oak will be the killer. Who knows?
That would be a dark twist.
He might kill Muck.
You might kill Muck. I actually,
and
that's one of the
episodes.
episodes.
Mr. Mime, because Mr. Mime is always intruding at the wrong time. I'm telling you.
He really is. What is this? Kind of just a question that popped up. Totally not on what I say, but what is the deal over the years with people saying Ash's mom and Professor Oak? What is that about?
Well, I could ask Professor Oak to respond.
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't mind.
Well, I'm glad you asked that question. Actually, Mrs. Ketchum and I are very, 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 very good friends.
Okay. Very good friends. All right, Professor Oak. That's
about all I can say about that.
That's super vague, but I will accept that. But yeah, that's such a popular running thing that there was always something there. I mean, I was a kid. I didn't really pay attention to it until later on. But I thought that was interesting.
I think it's wonderful that everyone should have their own theory about that.
The Pokemon universe, so much going on.
She's a lovely woman. I love
she is. Yeah. I agree, Professor Oak. Yeah, so I have to ask you about Pokemon Snap as well, because that is another one of my all-time favorite games. Very disappointed the new Pokemon Snap didn't have Professor Oak in it. I think a lot of people. I don't know either. He's like some type of Professor Mirror or something like that. I don't know. Yeah. I was disappointed. So did they just kind of pull lines that were already recorded from the anime? Is that something you had to do separately for the game? And what did you think about Pokemon Snap?
Well, I mean, literally my concept of it was I was actually doing a Broadway show at the time.
Wow.
And on my dinner break, I would run over to the studio and they would hand me a script that was, it was got to be 30, 40 pages.
Oh my goodness.
And it was one word or one phrase or, 3-word sentences. And I just had to put them down.
Wow.
And it was some of the toughest stuff because, literally a majority of them were one take.
Yeah.
But there were so many of them to record so that Oak had responses for everything. So I didn't really have a concept of what the game was when I was doing it. Just all I had they just wanted my voice for these things. And I just remember it was exhausting, but I guess it came out all right. So
absolutely it did.
And then they do Black and White too, wasn't there? I'm trying to think what other games I did. I did like 2 or 3 of them with my voice, and then they were starting to do them without having any voice track.
Right.
but I'm amazed at the popularity of it and how, again, it was popular enough to relaunch. And I I would say, if I would characterize Nintendo, one thing I don't think they have that is different from an American-based company
Mhm.
is they don't have a sense of nostalgia the way we do. I
No.
think nostalgia may be truly an American characteristic that
Yeah.
we have much more affection for these things, in the old days, and that's why there's networks that are all old TV shows that that I grew up with in the '60s, and they're running constantly. And I think Pokemon is falling into that new generational thing, and it'd be nice if they sort of acknowledged what the value of that. But
Absolutely. I never looked at it like that. Like that was more of an American thing. But it certainly makes sense because there's so many times I'm like, why are they doing this?
yeah,
It's definitely not a monetary thing because, you see how well the Pokemon games sell and everything today. I feel like that, that much more. I was hoping for when they did a Let's Go Pikachu.
hmm
Really wanted Professor Oak in that, and I thought there was a lot that they could do with it since they changed it up so much. But they definitely like to put their new spin on things and kind of pull it. It's nice because it's more modern, but it also does take away the nostalgia, which I
sure.
don't like.
And it's like, and we've created these iconic touch points
Yeah.
in the series, and that's worth holding on to, I think.
Yes.
But you know,
It really is. That's why, I mean, yeah, you definitely brought a whole new perspective for me because you see all the reunion shows that are going on, all the remake movies that they
sure.
always bring back the actors in. Maybe it is an American thing. Maybe, I don't know, that makes a lot of sense. One of my viewers, Bombita, asked, would you be on other different series in the future other than Pokemon? Like, as far as anime goes, I know you said you did the TMNT. That's not really I
hmm
guess, an anime, but would you do anime again? Are you open to that?
If I had an opportunity, if someone invited me, I absolutely would. Yes.
Yeah.
It's not it's not on my side that I'm not doing more.
Right.
It's really um, call me.
Yeah. So you seem to you want to take on any type of different challenge.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a journeyman actor, whether it's theater, television, film, commercials, voiceovers. I like doing things that different all the time. Of course, if someone had offered me a recurring situation, I certainly wouldn't object to that.
Right.
Um, uh, Economic security is a wonderful thing. If you can mix that with your art, it's I think you've got it made. So
Absolutely. And I feel like voice acting, I feel like you almost have to be a journeyman because of shows, unfortunately, like Pokemon that don't like to make it kind of a financially secure position for the long haul. So what is something that you would say most people don't understand about voice acting that's kind of like maybe a voice acting myth per se?
well, I think a lot of young people. I mean, they ask me, but it's you all the tools that you learn as any kind of performer. If you're a stage performer, if you're a singer, all those kind of techniques can all come into play,
Mhm.
and it happens because not only do you seek it out, but you can use your instrument in a way that makes it marketable. So,
Right.
yeah, I wanted to work in this show, but I didn't know what it was going to be. So it was just fun to sort of play around with voices. And I saw this older character on screen, and I went, "Oh, that's kind of interesting." And he's got bad hair on one side, and so I'm getting all these little messages. He's a little eccentric, and and I looked at the lines, and it really inspired me. So I was able to kind of improv vocally with the little clues that I saw, And in this case, it turned out to be the right ones, because they liked it too. And I
Yeah.
think that's what actors always need to be ready to make a choice. If you walk into a room and it's like, who's the character, and what kind of person is he? Sometimes they don't have those answers,
Hmm.
so you have to read down the copy and make some choices. And the more secure you are in what you do and your instrument, and the more available you are emotionally, that's gonna make you much more employable. And I always feel like when you're going into an audition, you're solving their problem. They're looking for something, they don't quite know what it is, and sometimes it's up to you to tell them, this is what you want.
Right.
This is what works. Because if it all connects, they'll go, oh wow, that was really good. And I think sometimes it's a happy accident, and sometimes you just bring your talent and skill and experience to bear, and sometimes it all magically pays off. And this was absolutely one of those times when it just, because I didn't even know what the stakes were. I just wanted to
Right.
do a good job, and go home, and was hoping for the best. So um,
Yeah. Absolutely. So they gave you quite a bit of freedom then whenever you basically created Professor Oak then, or did they give you some type of guideline or anything?
well, what I wanted to mention is, um, they could play back the visual, but playing back the Japanese voices, I couldn't. I didn't understand the language,
Hmm.
and it didn't translate emotionally on the screen. So I had to imagine what I would do, because
Right.
that didn't work as a guide for me. It
Right.
was just noises. Um, because I really didn't know what they were saying. So that, I think, actually turned out to be a benefit. It was a blessing to not really understand, because then I couldn't copy somebody else.
True.
I had to imagine for me, and I think that was, um, it was challenging, but in the long run, I think it was good, and I would prefer that, because then I can't say, oh, I got this from so and so, because there was nothing there to be given. He had the same visual that I had in his world and his language,
Right.
and I was able to use it and sort of reimagine it. And I think that's true of the writing too. The writing reimagined, the original Japanese show, and it gave it an American sensibility, an American sense of humor, which was right on the money, because
Yeah.
the show could flip from serious to funny and just like that. And I
Really good.
love that, right? I mean, in
Yeah.
the middle of that, something zany happened,
Yeah.
and I that to me made it really special.
Yeah. Absolutely. There is a sense of being genuine when you do have that where you're not focusing on how somebody did something else. And I think that also does come out in the character when you are genuine like that. That makes a lot of sense. I wonder how most do that, if that is a common thing that they get that type of kind of sense of freedom, or if they do are more strict on guidelines. I think they handled that the right way for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, when you have a long-standing character, say, I mean, Mickey Mouse isn't the one to really, but they're doing the new Space Jam, and
yeah,
and
yeah,
that's all the Warner Brothers, which was all voiced by Mel Blanc originally, who was the iconic genius of voice acting. I mean, he
right.
was the entire voice department for all those Looney Tunes,
Wow.
and I mean, talk about versatility.
Yeah,
And so there are some amazing people, and over the years I can hear some of them have evolved, and they're not exactly what I grew up listening to, but a
sure,
lot of
sure.
them really do have that essence. So when you're doing something that's iconic that people know, that's a whole different challenge, because
Right,
there is that's mimicry, and if you can create the emotion with the mimicry. So we were lucky because we could reimagine them for us. We could
right,
recreate them. I didn't have to. I didn't have that burden of what did that other person do. I just had to make it work for us and for me. So
right. Yeah, that's truly amazing. So yeah, what do you think that you would tell a beginner who is starting out in voice acting? I know you said that as an actor, I mean, I'd say it today, and I'd say a big part of it is due to Pokemon. I'm sure a lot of people aren't even trying to go into acting. They're trying to specifically do voice acting
Mm-hmm.
because of shows like Pokemon. So what would you say to somebody who specifically wants to go into voice acting?
Um, I'd say don't limit yourself. But that said, if you know you have a strength, if you're more of a narrator voice and you're an announcer, then go for that, because character voicing is one thing, straight
Mhm.
announce is another thing. Um, really try to find where your strongest suit is, if you know, because it's it's more valuable to you, and you won't be wasting their time if you
Right.
can go in and say, well, this is what I do best. If you're in a place that you already feel uncertain about, then maybe you shouldn't be there. um, if you're imaginative, if you like to improv, if you like to role play, if you do theater, these are all great starting off points for being a voice actor. And I would say practice at home. You can now, with all of our media, you can do
Mhm.
voice memos and you can play them back and listen to them. You can take copy off of the television or in a newspaper or something, and you can do them. You can actually put together your own voice reel that way, and I'd say, challenge yourself, and then know when you've hit your strongest suit, and don't push where you don't feel comfortable.
Right.
Uh, uh, and the thing is, it's doing. So people say, because I have a lot of young people who say to me, I really want to do this, and it's like, well, then you need to do it. You can't. It's not just the desire. It's you literally have to hear yourself and speak words and play it back and listen to it, and that's how you'll build a career. Some people hire a coach, which is perfectly fine. There's really good people who will put together a reel for you, and they'll help you find copy, and they'll coach you, and you do it until you get best takes on all that.
Mhm.
So look for that. I mean, there are some places that actually have good classes that are offered,
Mhm.
either in colleges or privately. Whatever it takes to get yourself comfortable.
Right.
Because when you go into those sessions, finding your comfort zone is crucial to making um, excitement and making the the spirit of anime come alive.
Right. I definitely think it takes a special person to do that as well. I don't think anybody can just step in and really accomplish that. I definitely think it is more than the voice, for sure. I think a personality goes a long way with that, which is what
Certainly.
I love so much about the original cast. Um, so, all right, what is your most requested phrase as Professor Oak? Like you said, you went to some cons, you used some live streams and stuff.
Yes.
And can't may we hear it?
One of the most requested ones that I've heard over the years is, "Are you a boy or a girl?"
That
For some reason,
is
love to hear
amazing.
that.
Yeah. It's like that's funny because obviously that's from the original Pokemon Red and Blue and Yellow, but there was no voice behind that. I guess they just wanted to hear what that would be. I have to show you something real quick if you don't
Okay,
mind.
let's just talk amongst ourselves while he's gone. Oh, he's coming back. Okay.
So my brother kind of helped me get introduced to Pokemon. He's 4 years older than me, and we kind of grew up together. And
Uh
this
huh.
past Christmas, I told him this is kind of like my office game room area, and I was like, I need some decor for it to fill the
Right.
room up. And I was like, you know what I like, so just if you pick it out, I'm sure I'll like it. And he got this canvas for me, and this is pretty much my
Oh,
childhood in a nutshell.
oh, look at that.
Yeah. So there's Professor Oak, and obviously red or blue, and the rival. But this won my Christmas for best gift that I got. But
Wow.
that saying right there made, and I wish I could have you sign this somehow, but I
Well,
that
there is such a thing as mail.
that's true. Do they still do that? I don't know. I mean,
Or I could sign it on a clear plastic and you could put it over
there
top.
you go. There you go. No, I would be happy to send that to you to autograph. But that just instantly reminded me of the original game, which I'm pretty sure I watched the show first and then I got the game. But I loved that opening. The opening to the anime is the opening to the original games, and I love that. But that's so funny. Is there any other phrases that, like, is that number one by a long shot?
That's definitely number one. Let me think.
Really?
Something about riding your bike indoors. That's another one.
Yes.
Never ride your bike indoors.
Yes, that's also in the original game. Do you know a lot about the original Red and Blue, and then Pokemon Yellow?
Actually, very little.
Really?
I totally was the hired hand who came in and did their bidding and said the lines. So
yeah,
my son became a pretty good Pokemon a game player.
Oh yeah,
and so he knew more about it than I did.
Sure. I mean, if you're ever wondering what type of impact you have had on people, obviously these two lines that you were probably at first unaware of what they were even from, but the fact that you created this character and then he's inside of a game that didn't have voice acting, but the character, the little 8-bit or whatever character itself, you created that representation there that stuck out to those people so much. It was that impactful. So
people are hearing me.
They hear your voice when they see this little character, and all it is just text boxes that pop up. So I mean, that says a lot about you right there.
That means a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's truly amazing. So what is your favorite Pokemon, and what is Professor Oak's favorite Pokemon? Because there could be a difference.
Yes. I like, personally, Stuart. I like all the original classic Pokemon. I love Jigglypuff and Squirtle, Snorlax. I love Psyduck and Muck and so any of those guys, Bulbasaur. I even loved saying the names. They were so vivid, names to do.
Right.
But as far as Professor Oak is concerned, there's really only one who I think epitomized. Yes, I know it's you. It's definitely Pikachu.
Of course. Hello to you too, Pikachu. That makes sense. I mean,
there's a story about this Pikachu. If you notice, Pikachu is wearing a Newsies cap.
Yes.
And one of my other jobs was, for 2.5 years, I was in the original cast of the Broadway musical Newsies.
Okay.
So one day I came to the theater, and waiting at the stage door was this Pikachu Pokemon fan who knew I was part of the cast, and she left this for me.
That's amazing.
And so this is one of my prized possessions.
Yes, absolutely. That is amazing. Wow.
So Pikachu's been definitely my companion for quite a while.
Yes, and the picture you sent me too, I saw that Pikachu. So that is great. Yeah. So, do you think Pokemon, as far as like when you do Broadway and things like that, do you like to be remembered as being Professor Oak, or is there ever a time, I guess, when you're like, man, I'm glad I did Pokemon. It was great, but I kind of wish that I wasn't necessarily put only inside of that box, or you just embrace it and
Yeah, I do embrace it, and one thing I've learned is that the feeling that our fans have is really sincere and deep, and I've never thought light of that. It's like
Yeah.
I am so grateful to the affection that our fans have for the work that we did. And so
Mm.
whenever I would do personal appearances, I would watch them, and for the weekend, I would say I always felt like I was Elvis for the weekend,
Yes.
because I'd walk down a hallway and I'd hear people going, that's him. They'd be pointing, and they were nervous, and sometimes they
Hmm.
were shaking, and someone, told me the you were my whole childhood, and then someone would just walk up to me and to go, can I hug you? And I went, yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it was so strong, and I said I have to really honor that. That's a wonderful thing to have that kind of impact on people. So uh,
Right.
it's I even put it in bios. I usually keep it at the end of the bio, and I go, fun fact: Stuart is the original voice of Professor Oak.
Yeah.
And it is a part of my history and
Mm.
my career, and it's an honorable one. So yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. I'm glad you embraced it. I know some people don't like to necessarily be put in a box when they're trying to branch out and do other things, but you've done plenty of other things, and it's not
Yes.
like, I think sometimes I maybe, I'm sure it's a little different with voice acting, but actors kind of only get certain roles based off of who they've previously been, and some people kind of have trouble seeing them in different roles. But maybe that's the beauty of voice acting, is that you can do anything, and you, like you said, you have to be versatile to some degree. And yeah, so
In the years since Pokemon, I toured the United States as the wizard in Wicked, um,
really.
and I've had a lot of people who came backstage at the stage door who knew I was Professor Oak. So that was thrilling, and I'm going to be in a Broadway show this October,
Wow.
a musical called Caroline or Change at Studio 54 on Broadway. And
Wow.
it was supposed to open last year, and because
Uh-huh.
of the pandemic, we were shut down 24 hours before our first public preview. So if anybody's in the New York area, we'll be performing from October 8th into February. So
Wow. My sister-in-law is heavy into Broadway. My brother and my sister-in-law went to New York just to see some Broadway plays.
oh,
And so, yeah, I will definitely have to let her know, because she's all about Wicked and all that.
sure.
Um, but that's amazing. It's amazing how much you have covered as well, like you said, with the TV and everything that you're about to be in. Is there any other future projects besides the Broadway play? Um,
Marvelous Mrs. Maisel will probably
yes.
also be. They released the whole season at the same time, so my guess is it's going to also be running on Amazon Prime the same
Okay.
time that Carolina Change is running on Broadway. So I'll probably have those two things going
Oh, wow.
simultaneously, which is great. And
Yeah.
I mean, one thing about the business is today I don't know. Tomorrow I could have an audition and I could be doing another show. So
Right. Do you
so I'm
like that?
oh yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I a lot of people love having the security of one job, and I've never had one job. I've always gone from job to job, and
Right.
that's become normal to me. So I sort of embrace it and go on the journey, because even though sometimes I think I'll never work again, there's always another job that comes up.
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
and
Sounds like it.
it's been pretty true over the years. So I assume it'll just keep happening.
Right. So during the pandemic, was that kind of tough for you as far as like finding different things work wise, or did they fill up with live streams and stuff?
It took a while. It was real. I mean, everything just ground to a halt. But within 6 months, I was doing some Zoom Pokemon reunions. I'm on this site called Cameo,
Mm-hmm.
where Professor Oak can do birthday greetings, and people can hire me to do special messages. So you can come see me on Cameo.
Yes.
I've done a couple of like play readings online. It's not the same, but you
Yeah.
still get a chance to exercise.
Right.
And I've done a lot of auditioning on Zoom. My audition for Mrs. Mazel was all done remotely.
Really?
Yeah, so it's like and you can still book jobs. So
Yeah. Technology is amazing.
so it's getting better. So now I'm starting to really circulate again, and the business is definitely opening up.
So things are jumping back to normal.
Yeah, I
then.
mean it's I can feel it now revving up. Yeah.
Good. Good. That makes me very happy to hear. But yeah, so again, thank you so much. I don't want to take any more of your time. I really appreciate you coming on. To everybody who's checking this out, please check out the Facebook group Fans of Professor Oak.
Right.
Is there any other social media? I know you said you're on Cameo.
Right.
Is there any other social media that you have that you're trying to maybe develop?
Those are the main ones. I'm trying to get better at posting things on Instagram,
Uh-huh.
but at least I have those two areas, and I keep looking for me. I'll
Yeah.
turn up somewhere. So
Right. I'd be happy to post any links or anything that you have that would promote you.
Right.
Again, this is pretty much my dream come true. I can stop YouTube now. I've a little about me. I've been working on YouTube for about 4 to 5 years. I took about a year off, which really hurt me. But this is kind of like what I've started doing that I enjoy, is just talking and interacting with people. Never in a million years dreamed I'd be talking to Professor Oak on my channel, but I'm pretty much done after this. I'm gonna retire and call it a career. I can't get any better than this, even though I did reach out to Veronica and she said that she would be interesting in coming on the show. So that's
good.
pretty exciting.
Well, you can tell her that Professor Oak said she should do it.
I will say she'll have to now. I mean, she doesn't have a choice. Right. I would love to have you back on in the future, though. I would love to be able to have you on and help you gain some type of following. But I will make sure that everybody who watches this video checks out the Facebook page, and also Cameo. Cameo is a really cool service, guys, where you can have these personalized videos for you. It's very inexpensive. So definitely check that out as well. Bombita asked also, have you met other voice actors besides the cast of Pokemon? Have you, like, when Pokemon was in its heyday, I'm sure you met a lot of different people traveling and with the movies and everything. Is there anything that sticks out? Maybe Digimon or anything like that was kind of popular in the time of.
Some of the conventions had various people who flirted with Pokemon and from other places, but I never having like we didn't have any softball games between ourselves, and
that would be interesting. Yeah.
But it is a big community, and I have made some acquaintances with people at some of the other cons, because everyone supports one another.
Yeah.
It's nice. It feels like a big community, and I'd say, when we had meals and whatnot, it just felt like a big, like we were all part of this big, almost like a campus, and that's a good feeling. So nobody particularly, but a lot of very nice people.
Sure. No, that is completely understandable. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have for you. Like I said, I don't want to take any more of your time. Guys, thank you so much for everyone who stopped by. Again, please check out Stuart's social media, everything. If you're in New York, go to his Broadway plays. Phenomenal guy. Again, truly an honor. And again, thank you so much, Stuart. And Professor Oak, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. And Pikachu says very welcome too.
Oh, thank you so much, Pikachu. I appreciate it. Yeah, Pika.
Very talented. All right.
All right, guys. Thanks so much.
My pleasure. Nice to talk to you.